All right, hey, good morning, folks. Once again, we are back taking a look at the tropics. Today is Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. This is your regional update for Northeast Florida on the impacts from Tropical Storm Nicole, expected to make landfall Wednesday night across eastern Florida, move across to the south and west of our area on Thursday, and then recurve to our north on Friday. If you're looking for the more comprehensive overview on Nicole's impacts to Florida and the East Coast writ large, I do have a video that was posted just earlier on the page and the channel on that, but this is just for Northeast Florida specific impacts. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm not going to go over all the stuff we talked about in the other video, but generally the big story on Nicole this morning is that she's still a tropical storm. Maximum sustained winds are near 70 miles per hour. The system is still wrapped up in this big nor'easter, so you've got this big sprawling high pressure over the Carolinas helping to enhance Nicole's wind flow, and you've got a lot of wind and rain and all that fun stuff already pushing into Florida this morning, and it's only going to go downhill from here as we have this late season kind of hybrid storm on our hands. This is the latest from the National Hurricane Center as of 10 a.m. against 70-mile-an-hour winds. And look at the wind field associated with Nicole. This orange circle is the tropical storm force winds going out hundreds of miles from the center of Nicole, despite it being centered down here in the Bahamas. The tropical storm force winds are occurring all the way up into parts of coastal South Carolina already this morning. If you live in our area, you can definitely feel it outside this morning. It's been gusty, it's been breezy, it's been downright windy already at times, and the coastline's already taking a beating, and it's only going to get worse. So the two stories from this morning I talked about in the main video. Nicole has not rapidly strengthened. She was kind of looking that way yesterday afternoon, but then the kind of fell off after sunset. Some dry air got in there, disrupted the storm. So it's holding its own right now, but it is not looking like it's going to go from any kind of heroic strengthening last minute. It will still be a hurricane at landfall later tonight, but we are expecting minimal category 1. The other news for our area is that the track quit shifting northward. We still expect that landfall somewhere north of West Palm Beach and Lake Okeechobee, but south of the Space Coast, kind of in this window here. So, as usual, Jacksonville has its little 80 to 110 mile bubble that just seems to be impenetrable by tropical cyclones. And once again, just like Ian came across and went around us like that, Nicole's going to do the same thing, but in the other way. So our little bubble holds up. And I don't know what we're putting in the air out here. Maybe it's the coffee house that's making a bubble for us. I don't know. But once again, Nicole is going to curve around our area. So we are going to get impacts from Nicole, and they will be more significant than Ian in a lot of cases, but it's not going to be the worst case scenario that, once again, it could have been. If Nicole was going to hit 150 miles further north and would have been a category 2 or 3, we would be absolutely wrecked. But as it stands, we're going to get a strong tropical storm out of Nicole. So, going to go to the impacts, get right into it. This is the National Weather Service briefing on Nicole. You can find this at weather.gov. You go to weather.gov, you type in your city, zip code, or if you want to put it up here. It brings you up to your local forecast, and then you can go to Nicole briefing at the top, and you can get this PDF. So you can see the National Weather Service is putting out for our area today. Tropical storm warnings as far as wind is concerned. We'll start there. Potential for wind gusts around that 50, 55 mile an hour range. Some folks will see in the 60s. Some folks may only be into the 40s. It will depend on location to a point, but we are on that yellow-red kind of border, which is our yellow-orange border, which is the difference in low-grade tropical storm and mid to high-grade tropical storm. Further south you are, the closer you are to Nicole, the higher chance you have for stronger winds. But everyone will be feeling those wind gusts 40 to 55 miles an hour, and there will be some folks, especially at the coast, who do get those gusts over 60. The hurricane force winds are expected to stay south of our area. That hurricane warning stops around the Volusia-Flagler County line, so we are not expecting hurricane force winds in our area, nor hurricane force gusts. But the potential for wind gusts over 60 miles an hour are possible in the orange areas and up to about 60 miles an hour in the yellow areas. This looks pretty in line with the GFS computer model has for us, the wind gust forecast at the maximum peak. We can see wind gusts, 45, 55 miles an hour across northeast Florida. 55 to 60 miles an hour at the beaches, and then 55 to 65 miles an hour to the south of our area is generally what the wind gusts are going to be. I want to stress, though, these are going to be very persistent winds. It's not going to be just for a couple hours. We're talking about the winds picking up late tonight, lasting through much of the day on Thursday, and then getting into Friday, even in the morning hours. So, don't think it's going to be just a couple hours. It's going to be very persistent, brutal wind that's going to keep going, and that can have its own effects. That can lead to power outages, tree damage, all the things in itself, even if the actual wind numbers really aren't eye-popping. Let's go over to the storm surge prediction. 3 to 5 feet is the expectation, both the National Weather Service. They're going off the National Hurricane Center prediction. Again, mouth of the St. Johns River, 3 to 5 feet, and 3 to 5 feet from much of the east coast of Florida. This will produce similar beach impacts to what Ian did for the most part. That was the same forecast that Ian had with 3 to 5 feet. So you're going to see a similar flooding event. This is not as strong as Ian in terms of overall intensity, but that strong northeast persistent wind that's already started since yesterday and will occur throughout the day and tomorrow is going to pile up water and cause that coastal flooding and surge problem. The water will not rise all at one time like it will with like a classic hurricane, but it will still be a persistent, slow water rise. You're going to see seawalls overtopped. You're going to see roads overran by water. The dunes are already weak from the impacts of Ian. You're going to see that once again with Nicole as she moves through for our area. Flooding rainfall, 3 to 5 inches of rain is the forecast total from the National Weather Service and the Weather Prediction Center for our area. 3 to 5 is a good call. A lot of threes on this map, but there are some pockets of 4 to 5 inches of rain. Tropical systems typically don't dump all the rain in the same place. It's not as uniform as the computer model shows us. So, you see three, you could get up to 6 or 7. It's just how it works. I think that flooding will be a problem in isolated areas, but your soil moisture is pretty good and your drainage systems are pretty empty. It's been pretty dry since Ian overall. So I don't anticipate we're going to see a massive freshwater flooding event from this. The timing and all that just doesn't look like it's going to favor that. This will be a good soaking rain, and yes, there will be some pockets of flooding and some issues like that, but most of the flooding is going to be in the form of saltwater flooding from the river and the ocean, not so much from freshwater flooding inland. But it will be a good soaking, and there will be some roads and low-lying areas that typically flood that will have issues with Nicole. So, use your best judgment there. But again, not a massive, flooding threat. The biggest actual threat to our area that's come up in the last 24 hours is the tornado threat. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but I said it was mostly going to be south of our area. Not actually the case. Given the track of Nicole now that's going to actually drive across the state, move into the Big Bend, and curve around us, we're actually going to be in that more magic zone where tornadoes are going to be a bigger issue for us. The Storm Prediction Center is forecasting a significant threat of tornadoes both tonight and tomorrow. This is their 1 day outlook that encompasses much of the Northeast Florida area, especially like Flagler and St. Johns counties, but at least slivers of the rest of our counties. The threat will mostly be at the coast today, but they have that 2 to 5% tornado potential. 5% is typically where you see tornado watches, and that's up for parts of probably southern St. Johns and Flagler counties this morning. And as we go to day two, that will then encompass more of the Northeast Florida area. So on Thursday is their biggest tornado threat, but I think that late Wednesday into Thursday is kind of the tornado threat window. And I would absolutely anticipate the potential for a tornado watch across Northeast Florida late tonight or in the first hours of tomorrow morning and lasting through much of the day on Thursday. So definitely a rough deal with that. And we will see a couple tornadoes. Now I want to remind everybody that tropical tornadoes are typically shorter lived in nature. We're not talking about a big EF3-4 wedge tornado that's a mile wide. That's not what we typically see with tropical systems. They are typically, though, they are fast moving. They can still cause damage. Much more beyond the pale of what just the winds are doing, and they can definitely be hard to detect sometimes. So please have ways to get alerts. And again, we're probably going to tornado watch, and we probably will see several tornadoes tomorrow throughout the area. Again, your chance of actually having one hit your house is still very low, so I would not be freaking out. But they are something we have to keep in mind and keep a close eye on as these heavier bands of the cold move through, starting really late tonight and tomorrow morning. Let's go ahead and talk about the timing of all this. We'll use the NAM Nest model to kind of time this out for us. So again, our area up here in northern Florida, moving in. This is showing you earlier on Thursday. We'll back this up a little bit. So this is late Wednesday. You can see the showers that are coming on shore start to become more numerous, and they advance from the south and east of our area to the north and west of our area. So the rainfall totals will start to pick up later tonight. This is 1Z on Thursday, which is late Wednesday night. You can see Nicole approaching. The model is overdoing how strong Nicole looks here. I'm just using this for general illustration purposes. But some of those heavier bands still south of our area later on Wednesday. So now we go into midnight on Wednesday, or really Thursday morning. You can see the center of Nicole just about to make landfall. Some of the stronger feeder bands beginning to approach our area and converge in our area. The winds are picking up at this point. We're definitely, by midnight, we'll probably be in more sustained tropical storm force winds at the coast and definitely tropical storm force gusts inland. Nicole moves in. This is about sunrise Thursday morning. Some of the fatter feeder bands have moved in. This is where the tornado potential is in bands like this and like this. These curved bands you see. This is where the threat of more tornadoes are, especially in these outer edge supercell thunderstorms that are coming in. You could also see the potential for rotation in these bands here. So this is where the heavier rain sets up and where the tornado potential is up. And this is again about sunrise on Thursday on this model. And then Nicole comes across, and then there's still some of that fatter bands move through later later on in the morning hours. Again, these little tails you see are where tornado potential could be hiding, and again, where the strongest winds will be, where the storms are calling down those stronger gusts than you typically see in the non-convective gusts. Nicole moves across. Again, the bulk of the worst weather stays south of our area, but we are still going to have some of these heavy bands move through. You can see that bands continue to impact us through much of the day on Thursday. Another stronger band moves through later in the day on Thursday. This is about mid-afternoon Thursday, still sporadic at times. And then as we go into Thursday night, you see the cold begin to lift. And we could have one or two more bands of strong weather. Sometimes these storms develop these little severe tails on the back side of that drier air infiltrates and begins to mix up the atmosphere a little bit more. You can still see some severe weather on the backside of Nicole. And then by Friday morning, that system begins to lift out. The last of the severe weather tail runs through Friday morning. And by Friday afternoon, Nicole has mostly cleared our area and will probably still be cloudy, but it'll always otherwise the winds will be relaxing, the rain will have ended, and by Friday afternoon, we're looking pretty good for the rest of your duration. Nicole will be, an ended event for our area by midday on Friday. So that's the rough timing. We're gonna have some heavy bands. It's gonna get rough on Thursday, no doubt about it. Tropical storm conditions are likely, and but once again, we will miss the worst of Nicole, but this is definitely going to be a harder hit than Ian was. It probably won't be as bad as Matthew or Irma, but it will be worse than Ian was if you want a comparison. I don't love comparisons, but if you want one, there you go. So that's what I got for you guys this morning on your Northeast Florida update. If you got any questions, let me know. Until then, thanks for watching. Have a good one.